Hey guys, Hamsterwheel here with a new video and welcome to the Mage Guide to Molten Core. In this video I'll be explaining everything you'll need to know to be able to get into Molten Core and not suck as a mage. I'll be going over the strats for both bosses and trash mobs so you'll know what to do and make the YMCA proud. So how about we start from the beginning, shall we, with some very obvious but important things to do before Molten Core. First of all, stack up on Arcane Dust. I can't tell you how many times I've seen people bring their character to a raid and not have rage mats and then having to single target buff everyone, or they just wait until someone else applies the buff. So get that sorted out. Now if you want to stick true to the mage's real purpose, then you could also start Conjuring Water before the raid actually happens, so you have plenty to hand out to your fellow raid members. Trust me, they'll be grateful. You could also bring some raid consumables such as Brilliant Wizard Oil, Spell Power Food and Flask Supreme Power. I always prefer to raid with those things, even if it's just for Molten Core, because as a damage dealer, I love to see fancy numbers pop up on my screen. Also keep in mind that you have add-ons such as Deadly Boss Mods and a threat meter such as Omen installed. Right, now that we got the preparations out of the way, it's time to focus on some strats regarding trash mobs. In Molten Core you'll find a lot of trash mobs that are just tank and spank. However, there are mobs where you need to pay attention and actually do more than just mash buttons for max DPS. For instance, the Fire Lord is a mob that will occasionally spawn adds. If this add is not killed fast enough, it will multiply, and then those two will multiply, and so on and so on. So basically, focus the add when it spawns. Moving on to Lava Surgers. Now, the important thing for these mobs is that you stack. Surgers will randomly charge people that aren't close to him, and the more people who aren't close to him, the more targets he'll hit, and the more damage he does. Which could sometimes lead in half the raid dying. So when you see one, run towards it and give it a big ol' hug. Now for core hounds, usually these are faced away from the raid, so only the tank eats the damage. However, they can throw out a curse called Ancient Hysteria, which reduces your intellect and spirit. Basically DPS these down, and if the curse pops, you decurse. Another trash mob that needs to be taken into consideration is the core hound. That's right, the packs I mean. Now these need to die at the same time. It is up to the melee to spread their damage over multiple mobs, so one doesn't go down too quickly. As a mage, all you need to do is wait until the tank bunches them up, got some threat, and then you can AoE them down as quickly as you can. That's it. Other than that, the other trash mobs in MC are pretty easy and require no specific task for us mages. Alright, it's time to talk about the first boss fight, which is Lucifron. Now Lucifron has two adds. They will be pulled separately by an off tank and dragged to the back of the room. Make sure you don't DPS them until the tank has properly positioned them. Once they're in place, you can start AoEing them down. Once they're down, you can start DPSing the boss. Keep in mind that you have to stand at max range while DPSing the boss, and make sure you decurse. The curse he throws out is pretty nasty and needs to be dispelled ASAP, so always prioritize decursing over DPS. Right, after you defeated Lucifron, there's a few more packs of core hounds, and after that we have the second boss, Magmadar. This boss is pretty easy for mages. He does a random fear now and then, and you can remove that with Ice Block or Wheel of the Forsaken, and he throws out fire on the ground, and as we all know, fire is bad. A thing to keep in mind is that the fear can be outranged if you stand at absolute max range, that is about 36 yards. Now that we killed the second boss, it's back the way we came and on to the third boss, Gehennas. This boss fight is very similar to Lucifron, as there are once again adds that need to die first, and there is a curse that needs to be dispelled ASAP. And just like Lucifron, you need to prioritize decursing over DPS. He will also spawn Rain of Fires at random locations which do fire damage. Yeah, no kidding. All you need to do with that is just move away. Quick tip, the adds are sheepable, so you could also use that on the adds. This basically depends on whether the raid leader will call out or not. And that's pretty much it for Gehennas. Once again, a fairly simple boss fight. After some more trash mobs, we find ourselves at Gar. Now, for this boss fight, there are a few things you need to know. First off, one tank will tank Gar and the adds surrounding him, and then another tank will pull out the adds one by one. You need to make sure you focus the add that is being pulled out when the tank does so. Make sure not to stand close to the adds, because when they die, they blow up, and they could potentially kill you. Now, during this fight, Gar will dispel buffs that the raid has, such as Arcane Intellect, Mark of the Wild, and so on. And unfortunately there's nothing you can do about it, so yeah, that kinda sucks. Once all the adds are dead, you can focus on Gar, and that's pretty much it. Okay, we've arrived at Baron Geddon. For mages this is once again a very simple fight. All you need to do is to keep in mind that you keep your distance and run away when you are the bomb. That's right, Geddon will randomly select a target in the raid that will basically become a ticking time bomb. If he targets you, make sure you run away from the raid, as it will do AoE damage and could potentially kill some people. A cool thing about the mages is that we're so awesome that we can use ice blocks to get rid of the damn bomb. That's right, up yours, Geddon. So that's pretty much it. Keep your distance and run away when you are the bomb. The next boss we need to tackle is Shazra. For this boss it is important that the raid spreads around Shazra, so be sure not to stand too close to anyone. Unfortunately for us mages, this is once again a fight where you have to mash that decurse button, as Shazra will give you a curse that increases the arcane damage you take, and since Shazra throws out some nasty arcane AoE damage, you really don't want the raid to eat that AoE damage while they still have that curse on. So once again, prioritize decursing over DPS. After that boss is down, it's time to kill a bunch of trash, which includes some more Firelords, Lava Surges, and some other tank and spank trash mobs that you don't really need to know a whole lot about if you're a mage. The next boss we face is Sophiar and Harbinger, my favorite boss fight of Molten Core. Why is that? Because many damage. In this fight, the tank will gather the boss and the adds, and it is up to the raid to do as much AoE damage as they can. After the adds are down, you just DPS the boss until it doesn't breathe anymore. And that's pretty much it for Sophiar and Harbinger. Time for the biggest bullet sponge of Molten Core, Go Mag. For this boss, you have to do one thing and one thing only. DPS. That's right, no curses, no getting out of the fire, just DPS your heart out and don't over aggro. And after that boss is dead, it's time for the second to last boss in Molten Core, Majordomo. Now Majordomo is a little different from your average boss fight, because in this boss fight you'll be focusing on the adds and not kill Majordomo himself. For Majordomo, the raid leader or someone else will assign mages, warlocks and or hunters to CC certain adds in this fight. Basically just pay attention to whatever target is assigned to you to be sheeped, and make sure to keep this target sheeped for as long as you can.
Hamster Circle, Ragnaros, Alt, warlocks take diamond, alt and cross.
After a while the target will become immune to sheep. When that happens, the ad will get feared or trapped. While keeping the ads sheeped, it is important you pay attention to what ad needs to be killed, as they will be killed off one by one instead of previous fights where you just AoE the crap out of them. Make sure you pay attention to the reflect shields, as both the healers and the elites will occasionally cast a shield on them that will reflect all of your spells, and if you're not careful this could two-shot you. And that's basically it for Majordomo. Keep your targets CC'd, kill the ads one by one, and watch out for the reflect shield. Alright, and after all those bosses, it's finally time for the last boss of this raid, Ragnaros. Ragnaros for us mages is actually pretty darn easy. First of all, you need to spread out across the room and make sure you're not standing right next to someone. Try to keep at least 10 yards between you and your fellow raid members. The reason you want to do this is because he will occasionally blast a target with fire damage and knocking them back. The thing is that it also affects people who stand close to the target, so the more people who stand close to each other, the more people will get hit by the attack. After 3 minutes, Ragnaros will submerge and adds will spawn. The tank will pick him up, and once he gathered all of them, you can start AoEing them down. Once the adds are all killed, Ragnaros will spawn again and the fight will continue. Because of this, the raid group will usually pull out one add and keep him alive for a short time. This will allow you to walk back to your position and get some mana back by using evocation, so make sure that you put that little break to good use. Once the ad is dead and Ragnaros has spawned again, the whole thing starts over again, and at that point you can just DPS him down. So that's Ragnaros for you. Don't stand right next to people, AoE down the ads and get some mana while they keep the last ad alive, and once you spawn again, just DPS him down. And that's it. And there we go, you are now prepared and ready to get into Molten Core and start killing some bosses. I hope I was able to help you out with this guide, and good luck to you in Molten Core. I also want to thank you for watching this video. I'm Hamsterwheel, and have a good one.